The message arrived just before midnight. "We've decided you're not a bridesmaid anymore. We want a cleaner look." Stared at the screen for a long moment. The group chat buzzed with emojis, laughing faces, hearts, playful jabs. Was the kind of digital laughter that hides a sharpened edge. My chest tightened. I had coordinated schedules, covered deposits, reserved dresses, and rearranged weekends to accommodate their plans. Their words weren't just dismissive, implied that all of it had been insignificant, trivial. I typed carefully, "No problem. I'll cancel the deposits I covered." The chat erupted again, laughter rippling across the screen. They weren't even subtle. Their amusement was performative, a way to reaffirm a hierarchy I had long felt but had never challenged. I didn't respond further. I turned the phone over and let the silence stretch. Hurt had been immediate, but anger simmered beneath a controlled surface. Reminded myself that control wasn't given, it was taken or earned. Right now, I had neither, and I had to wait. Sleep came reluctantly, fragmented by memory. My mind replayed old patterns, times when contributions I had made were minimized, when my efforts were dismissed with jokes or a "you always worry too much" smile. Small, repeated acts of favoritism toward my sister had left me on the periphery of decision-making, often the invisible participant in moments that demanded presence. I remembered the way I had laughed along, too, training myself in invisibility because confrontation seemed heavier than compliance. In the dim hours before dawn, found a strange clarity. This betrayal was predictable, almost mundane in its repetition. And yet, predictability didn't dull the sting. Realized the difference between the emotional pain of being excluded and the practical reality that they had underestimated me. Detail mattered more than the insult itself. Morning arrived, and with it, the unexpected shift. My phone pinged with a message from the dress vendor. Deposits were non-refundable. The dresses could not be changed or returned without significant penalties. The sisters' plan, announced with careless confidence the night before, had collided with a concrete, immovable reality. The laughter in the chat faltered. Emojis vanished. A few messages tumbled out, hurried, uncertain. "Wait, this isn't possible. We didn't know. Can this be fixed?" Reply. I stayed quiet, letting the moment speak for itself. The authority of the external world, the vendor, the contracts, the financial realities intervened where I had no voice. Power, which they had assumed entirely for themselves, quietly shifted. Not through confrontation, not through dramatics, but through something far more effective: rules outside anyone's whim. The sisters' digital bravado collapsed under the weight of consequence, and still I remained reserved. No celebrations, no declarations of victory. Vindication in this sense was not a triumph over them, a measured acknowledgement that foresight and responsibility carry their own authority. My breathing slowed. I let the quiet fill me, reflected on what had just happened. My calm response the night before, my measured handling of deposits, had allowed a reality to act as my agent. The external consequence had reversed the power dynamic. I was the only one who hadn't reacted with panic or hysteria. I felt a subtle shift in myself, a sense of dignity restored, quietly, without the satisfaction of watching someone else stumble. The family chat remained awkwardly silent for hours. Apologies trickled in, thin and hesitant, more to acknowledge the situation than to reconcile any feelings. I read the messages, didn't respond. My mind lingered not on them, but on the contrast between dismissal and reality, imagined control and real consequence. The psychological shift mattered far more than the digital embarrassment. By late morning, the dresses remained, the deposits untouched, the plans I had made intact. And I, finally, had a quiet sense of authority. Not authority over anyone else, but over my own decisions, my own foresight, my own response to exclusion. The sisters had learned, whether consciously or not, that laughter cannot replace responsibility and that exclusion cannot circumvent consequence. Sat in the quiet of my apartment, sunlight spilling across the table where my phone lay face down. Victory, in its truest form, was understated. I didn't feel giddy, triumphant, or cruel. Instead, I felt controlled, grounded, and aware of the subtle power that comes from preparedness and calm judgment. The relationship remained unresolved. Family tensions lingered like a faint echo. But I no longer felt powerless. I replayed the chat in my head one last time, the laughter, the dismissive emojis, the confidence of exclusion. And then the silence, authoritative interruption that had made the laughter meaningless. There was something satisfying in that contrast, invisible thread of control I had quietly woven into the scenario. Not revenge, not humiliation, just consequence, measured and inevitable. And so I moved forward. No one would see me cheer. No one would witness the quiet balance restored. The subtle ledger of actions and outcomes, the books had been set right. My foresight, patience, restraint had shifted the equilibrium. I could now hold my head high without celebration, without confrontation, without theatrics. Reality, finally, had sided with the one who had prepared for it. By evening, the chat had gone dormant. The sisters were busy with apologies, explanations, and the slow realization that their control had been temporary, consequence was inevitable. I returned to my day, the sense of quiet victory lingering like a shadow that warms rather than burns, had acted with calm, clarity, and measured patience. The dresses remained. The deposits were untouched. I had learned something more valuable than any familial recognition, restraint, observation, preparation are their own forms of authority. No one cheered, no one applauded, but in that silence I found my measure of power. It was enough.